Hey everyone, my name is Chau from Chau Mag, and you're watching The Biz.
Today we're interviewing Priyanka Ganjoo, the founder of Kulfi Beauty. Kulfi was founded by Priyanka after she worked for years in the beauty industry. But no matter how hard she looked, she didn't see herself or anyone with her skin tone represented. She kept waiting for a brand that celebrated South Asians, but it didn't happen. So she left the world of corporate beauty and started her own business. This is Kulfi.
Priyanka, thank you so much for joining us for The Biz today. Could you introduce yourself and describe what Kulfi Beauty is in 1 to 2 sentences?
Hi, I'm Priyanka Ganjoo. I'm the founder of Kulfi Beauty. Kulfi brings celebration into beauty with fun and approachable products for South Asian skin tones and undertones. And we also have a digital platform where we're sharing stories of self expression for South Asians.
So can you tell us a little bit about where you got the idea to start Kulfi Beauty?
Yeah, so I've been working in the beauty industry for about 6 years. I was at Estee Lauder and then at Ipsy. And at Ipsy, really saw the indie beauty movement. And it was amazing to see all of these small brands, grow and become big and scale. But what I've always found missing was a brand that celebrated South Asians, people who look like me. We were never the center of conversation ever in the beauty world, right? Like, we're never celebrated, we're never centered. At most, maybe we're an afterthought. We're like the fifth model in the lineup or like the one tan shade in a product lineup. And I just thought that there's a billion of us around the world, probably even more. And no one is really centering us. And I felt that felt like wrong. Honestly, I was still mixing my own concealer shades because our undertones are different, and they are a mix of yellow and pink undertones. It's hard to find products for myself, and I'm working in this industry and I'm still not able to create that change. And so that's kind of what led me to be like, if no one else is doing it, I'm going to try to do it myself.
It's funny. I actually have heard about this quite a bit from black makeup artists who had to create their own foundations. Or I used to work in advertising, so we worked in television commercials all the time. And there's so many times when we did have talent who had to bring their own because it was so hard to find their own skin shades or colors. So you worked at Estee Lauder and Ipsy. What were you involved hands on in creating the product, and how did you go from there to just to making your own?
Yeah, I actually have a very traditional like business strategy background. I used to do management consulting, and so when I went to Estee Lauder, I was actually part of the strategy team, but I was working with some of their retail brands. So I got to work closely with brands, thinking about again on the business side, how to make a store more productive. So really not as close to the product. And that was kind of what I thought was actually missing. And that's why I made the jump to Ipsy, because at Ipsy, I got the chance to be one of their first merchandising hires, which was just basically like the most amazing role to be in a beauty business, because that's where you're at the heart of what the consumer wants, which is product. And so at Ipsy, that's truly where I got to, as part of merchandising, our role and our team, what we did was we tested hundreds of products and brands that would come in every week and be sent to us, and find the ones that we thought were the best, the newest, most exciting, and share that with our subscribers.
God. So how many different brands do you think that you've worked with through Ipsy?
Oh my God, there's so many. I mean, there are like hundreds. I know that at any point in time, we used to have like 400 or 500 like brand relationships. Of course, there was a team that was kind of managing that, but we got to play with so many different categories. And I think being able to see the movements too, because for example, when I started early on, K Beauty was very new, and then we did the big program with Soko Glam, and then you could actually see consumer sentiment shift and like K Beauty become more mainstream to the point where sheet masks are now at a CVS, right? And I think just being able to see that evolution of consumer demand, see how tastes are changing, it's so fascinating. And I love the fact that we were able to get instant feedback. We would send out a bag, and then immediately we'd get so much like feedback from our consumers. So it got me really, really, I think what I learned from that process, of course, like being very close to the product, but then also very close to the consumer, and really being able to listen to them and like keep making our product better till we really nail it, because we were so close to the consumer in that role. And that was my first time really being in that position.
What made you think that for Southeast Asian women, this industry would be well accepted?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of like having this feeling in your gut, like you said, right? Of course, I was
Yeah.
facing the problem, my friends were facing this problem, and then kind of taking a leap of faith and then validating it with data. So, what I did do, of course, I took a leap of faith, left my job, but then the next day I was like on a Facebook group that has like South Asian women and South Asian people, and I was like, hey, I'm starting a beauty brand, come talk to me. So, I went and spoke to probably like 100 or 200 women in New
Wow.
York, and they were
Uh-huh.
complete like literally off the internet, right? But they were all so wonderful and like so it was amazing kind of meeting everyone in coffee shops in New York. This is again before the pandemic. So and kind of learning from them what their attitudes are about beauty, right? Of course I come in with my experiences, but there's so many different people have different experiences, and being able to understand what are their challenges, what products are they using, what's missing in their mind in from their point of view, and being able to getting that data from them. And then I actually did focus groups, I did surveys that were global, I flew to India. This is
Whoa.
like the
Okay, hold on. Wait. You gotta tell us about this trip to India. What? Okay, wait. We have to backtrack a little bit because this is amazing, and everyone who's listening, like, literally take notes on exactly what Priyanka is doing. How important it is to be taking those focus groups and surveys. That is the first step. But can we rewind quickly in between when you decided to leave your job? Because that's a huge step. Like, were you nervous? What made you decide that, okay, it's ready to go? Were you unhappy at your job? Like, what was it? And when was it? Yeah.
that was April or May 2019. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's when I left. I wasn't unhappy. Actually, I had a great team. I had a great job. I was like, I think that the challenge was like, I was getting promoted. It was all going well, but I think it wasn't making me as satisfied as it used to, right? And I think with every job, I think you need to be challenged. You need to feel like you're learning. And at some point, I felt that I wasn't like maybe that wasn't like how how much I wanted to learn. I wasn't getting that from the job.
Hmm.
But more importantly, I'd been thinking about this problem for like 2.5 years at this point, right? I'd been thinking about it. It was like in my mind. I was like waiting for someone else to do it because I was like, hey, I'm in merchandising. If I see a brand doing this, I'm going to try to, use my influence to try to get them in the bag and give them a platform with Ipsy. But nobody was doing it, and so I think it was kind of a combination of like timing, just feeling like I also had some money saved up that I knew that again I knew that this is a very financially intensive decision, and
Hmm.
being making sure that I have the ability to have the runway for a couple of years if I weren't making money. I think all of those things kind of lined up.
Yeah.
um I don't think I was like nervous, but I was definitely unsure. I wasn't sure, like, would this. I was like, I'll give myself 1 year, and here we are 2 years later, right? You always think that it'll.
Exactly. I left the same time too, and I went officially with Chau in May of 2019. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give myself 1 year, and here we are, 2 years later. I'm like, okay, I'm still trying to make this happen. So I feel ya.
I feel like had I just believed in myself more, I would have had more traction maybe earlier. There was so much self doubt, and I think that's part of maybe the challenge of being a woman of color. I don't want to generalize, but I do feel like there were a lot of people telling me not to do it.
So what is your niche right now?
So we're really focused on making beauty fun and
Mhm.
approachable. And I think it goes back to my personal journey because for me, like makeup was something, firstly, I didn't even wear makeup till I was 22 because there's just like a lot of judgment that came in the culture that I was growing in with wearing makeup. You were supposed to be this type of person, and you were almost not allowed to be wearing makeup because if you're not beautiful, you're not. I don't know. There's this circular thing of like almost needing permission to even participate in beauty, right? If you're not conventionally like attractive.
Mhm.
So and then so initially there was like this judgment that, oh, you're wearing makeup because you want to attract men. Then there's like work pressures. You want to wear makeup because you're hiding your dark circles and you want to look professional. And all of those were my early experiences with makeup. But then when I actually started working in the industry and like started playing with product and had glitter all over like the table, I was like, hey, makeup is just fun, and I think
It just is, yeah.
it's like I want to wear a red lipstick, I should just do it, or I want to wear like a bright eyeshadow, I should just do it for myself. And I think that's kind of central to the brand value that we're trying to communicate, and that's what you see with the colors and sort of like the brand identity, as well as it's a kulfi. So what does kulfi mean? It's actually a South Asian dessert that's very similar to ice cream, and it comes in lots of fun flavors and colors, and we have it at celebrations, and it's really like just playful. And I think that's really what we want to offer the consumer is beauty is fun. We're not trying to do a problem solution situation here. We're just trying to make it like fun for you.
So, can you show us some of your makeup products? Because your
Yeah.
launch is coming up.
So we are launching Feb 16th, and I think this show will go live after that date. So you'll actually be able to shop on our site, which is kulfibeauty.com. And we're launching with Kajal. Kajal is a beauty product and eyeliner that is very, very intrinsic to South Asian culture. You know, we use it. It's basically like a default product that everyone uses. And we are launching with 5 shades of kajal. I have 2 of them here with me that I can show you. This is our packaging with our logo.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It's so wonderful to see like something that you worked on for so long actually come to life and be in like a physical form. But it's a really, really beautiful, beautiful formula that's creamy and really pigmented. And so I'm gonna like swatch. I feel like an influencer now.
Yeah, you are. You're selling your product. Oh my God, look at that color.
So it's like a
So
so this
pretty.
one is a beautiful teal color. It's called Rain Check, and it's just like a beautiful creamy formula that is so easy to apply, but then it doesn't wear off. And then this is our other color, which is my favorite. I'm actually wearing it on my eye right now. It's called Tiger Queen, and it's a terracotta
It's
color.
called Tiger Queen?
Yes,
Yes, I love that. Oh my God, so pretty.
and it's a terracotta color. These are two
So
of our
how did
shades.
you go about creating them? Like, what is the first step for anyone who wants to start a beauty brand?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, first, of course, you have a point of view of what your brand is about, right? I think that always trumps what your product roadmap. But once you know, okay, hey, like my brand is, I want it to be, like I said, fun, play with colors, make it easy and approachable to play with color. Then you figure out, okay, what are the products that I want to launch with that the consumer wants? And again, Kajal to me was like an obvious one because it's such an intrinsic part of our culture that nobody has recreated and sort of like redesigned for our generation. So second is like landing on what your product is. Our next product actually is concealer. Like I said, it's a product that a lot of us have struggled with, complexion products. So there's a really big need for it. So that's kind of how you determine, okay, this is my roadmap. Once you know what products you're going after, you build out a marketing brief, like a product marketing brief, being like, this is what I want my product to be. Like, how would I communicate this to someone who's potentially buying this product, and like what the features are, and then getting down to as much detail as possible, like how creamy do I want to be, like you could also go to the market and see what are the benchmarks, what are people using right now, and what are the things that you want to improve on. But it's ideally you kind of dream of what your ideal product is, then you go find a vendor. And this used to be easier when there were trade shows in person. Unfortunately right now there aren't many trade shows happening, but New York has a bunch of them. There's indie beauty, there's like makeup in New York. There's a bunch of trade shows that happen in New York, so it's a great place to start a beauty business. So you just walk the floor, you meet with vendors who specifically specialize in your category, the products that you're trying to build, and you try to find a vendor who's willing to work with you. I think that's a big challenge because again, as a small brand, you're ordering small quantities, you're nobody. I think that was a big shift for me because again, coming from like Estee Lauder and even Ipsy by the time I left was pretty big. You kind of always lead with the fact that I'm coming from this big brand, and suddenly being a nobody, they're like, huh, who are you? Where's your business card? And I hadn't even printed business cards at that point. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the process of printing business cards right now. But anyway, so you find the vendor, and yeah, so that's kind of how you start, and there's a lot more steps in that process. But I could go on all day, as you can probably tell.
So exciting. Are you guys raising? Are you guys bootstrapped? Did you guys raise anything beforehand? How did you guys fund the business?
So till last year, it was self-funded. So I was I used my savings to fund the business. And then towards the end of last year, I raised a small friends and family and business angel round. So that's what's helping us with our expenses this year.
And are you planning on raising again this year?
I think it depends. It depends on how the business does. I think what's important is to try to get to profitability without the expectation that I'm going to raise. I think if I can get there, that would be ideal. And then to scale, it makes sense to raise. But I want to be very, very mindful about that. So let's see what happens.
What is your ultimate dream goal to come from Kulfi Beauty for 2021?
Yeah, I mean, I think like for 2021, I think my goal is that we create a viable, sustainable business because I think that's important, right? Ultimately, we're creating a business. It needs to be financially healthy. It needs to be a sustainable business where we're not just like raising a ton of money and then trying to like meet that valuation, even if I were able to raise a ton of money, but create something that's really of value. And then I think like longer term, my goal would be like if we can have future generations think about beauty differently and feel like they're beautiful and feel that they're included in the beauty conversation. And you don't have to be South Asian, honestly. Like anyone who can kind of relate with those values and we push that conversation forward. That would be the dream, right? That would be what I wish I had when I was growing up.
I love that. It's such a beautiful mission. Last question. What type of advice do you have for any up and coming entrepreneur?
I would say just do it. Like I just feel like you have to get into the weeds. You have to start somewhere. You may not know everything, right? It's not like I knew every part of the process, but you just have to start somewhere. And once you start doing it, you'll find people who'll help you out. And help comes from unexpected places. I'm sure you experienced that as well.
It always does. It's you know what? Sometimes in the beginning, your closest friends and family may support you. Sometimes they won't. But a lot of times I've found that it's people, the weak ties, as they call them. It's like your friend from college who you haven't talked to in 5 years but follows you on Facebook. It's your cousin's wife. It's the people on the outskirts who see from the outside what you're doing and they go, yeah, 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 I'm going to share you. I'm going to tell my friend about it. Like it's been really amazing. So I think in any journey, if you can always focus on the negative and the naysayers, but there's always people out there who are rooting for you, you know? And,
Yes, 100%.
and for you, it's just you. Do you have how big is your team?
Yeah, so it's me and our editor, Samya. She's the one who runs our blog. She does a beautiful job at it. We're both working full time. And then we have a team of interns who are helping me with different parts of the business, and they're amazing as well. And then we're going to hire someone to do operations next week. So it's still a very, very small team.
But Priyanka, thank you so much for being on this, on the biz. We're so excited to have you on board. This has been such an incredible experience just getting to hear about your journey. And, just as a fellow woman of color, as a fellow New Yorker, I just wish you the absolute best. And I'm really excited for Kulfi Beauty and to experiment with it.
Thank you so much for having me. And my favorite part about New York, why I live there, despite all of its challenges, is because it's so full of all of these interesting women who are doing amazing things. So I'm glad that we connected on this.